roll it up as opposed to just press it down.
Exactly.
double X. Seat belongs to man. Doesn't want to leave it in the drawer.